Hey guys, my name is Robert Strada. Today I'm going to show you my opinion on how to have magnetic eye contact like the Rock Johnson Wink. My goal is to show you why it's so important, how to do it, some techniques behind it, and I just want you to understand the basic to advanced stuff that people do that have really good eye contact. I've learned from some of the best. So I'm going to go from basic to advanced. So that's why we're going to want to stick to the end. We're going to start with basic stuff and then we'll go to the big boy stuff. All right? Now, number one, jumping right into it, understanding the importance. Why am I even making a video on this? Why do I even care? Well, I'm a man who is a little bit older now. So when I was younger, I was trying to figure out, how do I communicate? What do I do with my hands? How do I talk to people? I kind of don't know how often should I look at people? I had all these analyzer type questions and I was always curious about eye contact and nobody ever explained it, okay? So that's the reason I want to make it, because there's no good video I was ever able to find on YouTube, on the interwebs, that explains something as basic as this. So my big claim by the end of this is you're gonna have a solid understanding of not just me, but with some of the greats that I've learned from do for great eye contact. And you're gonna see here. So number two, you have to understand it's trainable. I have had the worst eye contact in the world. And I have very good eye contact. I'm not one to brag, I'm kind of humble, but okay. I have had the worst eye contact in the world. I'm talking, if you ever talk to those people that make you very uncomfortable, they look left, they can't even make it for like 3 seconds. That's how bad I was. And I went from that to being too intense, and I moved my way back to really good eye contact. Number three, okay. We're gonna just start diving right into what it actually is and some things you need to understand. Culture and environment. So if you are talking to someone, there are people that are raised in a very eye contact dominant environment. What does that mean? They're just raised to make strong eye contact. They don't think of it weird. I personally love my family to pieces. My family really does not make a lot of eye contact. They do, but like most of our conversations, we're facing away from each other. You're kind of looking over here. It's just not something that I've been raised to very much like utilize a lot. Also, not just family. Some people, they have a dominant figure in their life they could look at and be like, oh, he had really good eye contact. And the biggest reason why I wanted to list that is because you have to understand, if you're talking to some people, they just need strong eye contact. And it's not at all something that makes them nervous. Some people, whenever you make eye contact the first time with someone who's not used to it, who is not good at eye contact, they're gonna get a little nervous before they fall into your frame, which we'll go into later. But that shouldn't stop you from making very good eye contact. Some people, like, they just don't get nervous. They just have a good association with eye contact. Some people, they get very nervous with it. So one of the actual techniques is called hunter eyes, okay? We're talking about bug eyes and then hunter eyes. It's literally squinting. I'm telling you, this stuff is gonna change your life, okay? This is gonna sound so silly, but my eyes right now, I'm kind of squinting. I've been doing this for years, to the point where it's subconscious. But I used to kind of just be like this. Now just imagine you're like talking to someone and their eyes are wide like this. They're making really good eye contact. Do you trust someone that's eyes are like this naturally? Because this is how my eyes are if I wasn't, I have to physically make them wide again in bug eye, because I never ever do this. But how do you feel if I were looking at you for a 5 or 10 minute conversation? Even if I was doing everything else right, I got a great stance. I'm not moving, I'm not pivoting and shifting left and right. It's uncomfortable as
Correct.
So what you're gonna do is you're literally gonna squint, almost like you're scowling, like you're like, what the like this is what your face should look. All right, make sure your cheeks, they're not scrunched up, but your eyes are literally just kind of like this, okay? And then you're gonna just keep them there, and if it feels weird, it should. Again, you're getting my best shot here on trying to explain something that I do. Like right now, I'm doing it. And subconsciously, it just makes you look more confident. I don't know how to explain it, but nobody can argue with me on that, because I remember I started implementing this in my conversations years ago, and I had just amazing results, not psychological, just like night and day. Hunter eyes work. Number five is left eye, right eye. Okay, if I'm talking to you and I'm looking at you, I'm going from a left eye, right eye. All right, it's like left eye, right eye. Some people, if they look at one eye, what ends up happening is a lot of times you're nervous. Your nervous system, I'm staying really close to the camera, your nervous system is not used to making such strong eye contact. So if you stare in one place in a while, your eyes get fatigued and they start going like this, and it gets very shaky, and you just can't do it. But you're like, I can't break eye contact because Robert Strada said that eye contact is so important, and so you just look at left eye, right eye. Okay, it's not weird. Trust me. You could do it this. You could do this fast too if you want. I do it this fast, so I don't get fatigued. But you can look left eye, right eye, left eye, right eye. I know I'm getting analyzer on you right now. I know I'm turning into an analyzer, but this is how my brain works, and this is how like a lot of people's brains have to work at the beginning before it becomes an instinctual habit. All right, I remember when people were talking about how to flirt with girls. There's something called the love triangle. I'm sure some of you guys have heard of this stupid. Okay, it's when you look at her left eye and her right eye, and then you look at her mouth, and it's supposed to make her feel like she's supposed to kiss you. But imagine you're talking to a girl, and you're looking at the left eye, right eye, mouth, left eye, right eye, mouth. She's like, what the is this dude doing? Just keep looking there. All right.
Ew.
If it's someone that's not romantic, you can do left eye, right eye, nose. But I don't do that. Number 6, you can't talk about eye contact unless you're talking about what to do with your eyebrows. So like raise your eyebrows. If I talk with only hunter eyes, it's weird. Do you see how my like eyes look when I don't raise my eyebrows? It looks kind of really weird. I look like a serial killer. But if I talk and I'm like raising them now it's kind of like, no, I'm going up, I'm going down, going left, I'm going right, I'm doing some facial stuff, right? Like you can do stuff with your eyebrows, you know? You have to tactfully figure out when to move your eyebrows in a certain direction. Which is number 7, I already said it. You have to tactfully choose it, okay? But you have to understand the difference between animation versus a reaction. So if somebody says something like to me and I'm reacting to it, it could be very unattractive, or it could just be kind of, you know, it doesn't look good. To be reactive versus kind of animated. But if you choose to be reactive, then you have to choose a selective time in order to do it. Like let's say somebody says, wow, you know, I just got a dog. Wow, really? Okay. You know, I was doing hunter eyes, but once you said like I got a dog, it's like, oh wow, good for you. And now all of a sudden I go bug eyes again, and I go back to squinting. Again, you're getting my best shot at explaining this. This is good stuff. You just gotta like bear with me here, okay? What that does obviously is it's gonna create emotional spikes. That's the reasoning why. Like imagine, you know, somebody says something to you like, yeah, I actually just got my degree. You're like, okay, cool, right? Versus someone says, wow, I actually just got my degree. And you're like, oh snap, good for you. Wow, like good stuff, I'm proud. You're creating a good emotional spike. They like you more just because you did that, okay? Number 8 is that if others' eye contact, you become the leader. That doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're gonna like make as much eye contact as them. If you talk to someone and they're kind of like, they just get eye contact and they look left and they look right and they don't really know what to do, you're still gonna maintain complete composure and you're gonna look at them. You're not reacting, you're maintaining stoicism. And what that allows them to come into your frame. I have a really good story about that at the end. Stick around, you're really like that. So, number 9 is again, no reactions. All right. If someone's being all kind of fidgety and weird and they're like really bad at eye contact and looking left and looking right, I'm still going to like maintain eye contact with you. I'm still going to maintain my downward tonality and like just be me. It doesn't mean that I'm going to react and all of a sudden I'm going to get weird and I'm going to look like, do I make eye contact with them? Do I not? Get in my head asking all these analyzer type questions. No, dude. That's just the rule. You don't react. This is just what we do. We just make eye contact. Simple. Holy guacamole, look at that dang board. That thing is huge. All right, number 10, pendulum. I need you to understand. If you get eye contact, imagine you have a scale on 0 to 10. Maybe it's called a bell curve, maybe a pendulum. It doesn't matter what the example is. A 0 is you're really making like no eye contact. Okay? You're just like a total chicken. And then you're gonna slowly work from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. Okay, you can do that, or you can go from 10 to 9 to 8 to 7 to 6 to 5. 10 is like you make such intense eye contact, you intimidate the heck out of people, and it's like just too much. You know, I'm not gonna use any good examples. You just look like a serial killer, or you're just too intense. okay? You want to start at a 10, okay? You want to start at a 10. You don't want to stay at a 10, but you want to start, all right? I'm not using the 10. The 10 does not stand for flawless eye contact. The 10 stands for too intense. The 0 stands for too weak. You want to move your way to a 5, okay? Jocko Willink has a great example of this, where he's talking about if you're going to be aggressive and move to humble, if you had a 0 to 10 on not aggressive at all and too aggressive, you want to start at too aggressive and move your way down to a 5, okay? From the 10, not from the 0, okay? Which means you gotta give it your all at first. I hope I explained that the right way, because that is a lot more powerful and a lot more people realize, and more than I'm going to be able to articulate in this video. Number 11, low vibration environments. Okay, that could be the true cause. So let's say that you're around people that just eye contact a lot. You understand? You're around people that are you're kind of weird, and they have really weird vibes. And they really just are not, they're skittish, and they're not able to maintain long eye contact, or they're not able to pause, and they rapid fire through sentences. You're gonna catch some of that. And so it's not 100% your fault, but it actually still is your fault, and it is your responsibility to change your environment. So you have to be 100% accountable and get out of that environment, because we all know we are the 5 people we hang around with, but not everybody knows just how affected they really are by that. Number 12 is you're gonna hold your stance. Again, they move, if they move, you maintain your eye contact, all right? I'm standing like this, and we'll go over stances too. But if I'm like standing here and I'm like looking at you, maybe I can make them a little more comfortable. I could put a hand in my pocket, maybe I put a thumb in my pocket. Okay, I got my hunter eyes, so it's not like I'm bug-eyeing you. Okay, I'm not just staring you down. But imagine if I'm like this, I'm in a stance, and I'm calm, I'm cool, I'm collected, and then they're like walking back and forth. They're kind of like this, you know. They're like all over the place, you know. I'm still going to be like this, and my eyes are gonna move with them. If they're moving around, my eyes are moving with them. My head is not moving with them. Now, like, maybe it is. Maybe it's kind of funnier if I'm like this. But it's whatever makes me look strong, okay? I'm legitimately thinking like that. I want you to think about the fidgety crackhead, okay? This is an example. Imagine you have a dude, like, I'm like this. I'm strong, and I'm composed, and I'm making good eye contact, and this dude's like all up in my face, and he's like this, you know. You're like, dude, you fucking understand, man, like, you know. And he's going all over the place. How am I? I am still zen. I'm still just like this, you know. Maybe, you know, I'm not flinching is what I'm trying to say. Now, a crackhead is a terrible example because they are unpredictable as and they will probably actually do some unhinged stuff. But if somebody is their energy is all over the place, your eye contact is still centered. That's the point, okay? Okay, number 14, 15 is tactics. So for when they're talking versus when I'm talking. How do I maintain that eye contact? If they're talking, I'm moving my eyes, not my head. What does that mean? It means that, like, I'm moving my eyes if they're moving around, just like I just told you. But I'm not really gonna move my head. Like, I'm not like just kind of following them around. This is gonna make more sense when I talk about number 15, which is when I'm talking, I'm moving my eyes and my head. All right, I want you to think about like Thomas Shelby and also John Bernthal. Remember, like, the Punisher, that guy? If you ever watch John Bernthal, the way he makes his eye contact is he looks left and whenever he speaks, or he looks right. His eye contact is moving with his face. He's not like this. So see, if I'm talking and then all of a sudden my eyes move left, or they move up, or they move to the right or down, it just kind of looks weird, you know? But if I want to like look some direction because I want to break eye contact for a second, I can look to the left or look up or like look down, you know? And it looks like I'm actually adding more animation strategically when I talk. I do this all the time instinctively on camera. And I learned it from John Bernthal, by the way. And then if they talk, again, like we were just talking about with this one, imagine Thomas Shelby, how he's calm, cool, and collected, and his eyes are moving, but he's not like turning his head whenever things happen. Number 16, facial expressions. Again, I'll make a whole nother video about that, but no video is incomplete about eye contact without talking about the facial expressions. You gotta whatever is your character. I would say that you got to fake it till you make it to some extent. Don't be too much unlike yourself, but I shouldn't even say that, because this is training you to not be like you, because the current you. So if you are not comfortable with facial expressions, like, wow, okay, like, shit, that's kind of funny, smiling, you know, cringing cheeks and looking left and right, and eyebrows up and down, you might need to work on it. It adds character and animation and adds likability, as long as it's calibrated. This is all about calibration. And again, number 17, it's a continuous theme. It's just don't care about their reactions, okay? Now, there is an element of reflection. If I let's say when I was first getting like really good at eye contact, not saying I'm the best by any means, but what I'm saying is when I first was really getting into eye contact and I'm like, I need to figure this stuff out. I don't understand this realm. How much do eye contact do? What's the right way? When I look at people, I'm making them uncomfortable. Is it too intense? I would be like, okay, that person really had a bad reaction to my eye contact. What happened? Oh, I had bug eyes. Oh, I was bug eyeing them. I was leaning in like this with bug eyes, like it, you know, and I have to reflect. One of the points on there should be reflection. Number 18, a smile and a smirk. I mean, holy guacamole. If I'm like looking at you, you don't gotta be like this, okay? And you don't need to be smiling the whole time. This is another big thing I learned about too, which is gonna be in facial expressions video I'm gonna make. When you are, let's say somebody's talking to you, you do not need to be smiling the whole time. You smile at first, and you could smile in between randomly like this, and then you could just drop it. It's okay. But like when someone's talking, I a lot of time I'll pick up my right cheek, and it's a slight smirk. It's like, depending on what they're saying though. For the most of the time, I'm really like this. And I'm not a bobblehead either. I'm not like nodding up and down. When I'm talking though, you see like now I'm turning a little bit bobblehead. It's in the facial expressions video. I'm not. Number 19, if you really want a number, because I wanted a number, like you should be looking at the person maybe 85 to 90% of the time. Okay? If that number feels like it's a little bit too much for you, then deal with it. That means that you are getting outside your comfort zone, which means that soon that will feel normal. Again, like you strategically can break it for when you say certain things, which is another thing I want to talk about, which is strategically breaking it. I just did it right then and there. On the word strategically, I looked left, right? Or I could look up, or I could look down. At first, you're thinking about these things, but after a while, it just becomes instinctive. Ah, yeah! Number 21, this is some big G stuff. This is some advanced boy stuff, all right? This is some, like, over-the-top, like, stuff that only the big boys do. Don't turn your head, your eyes so fast. If someone's talking to me, and let's say I'm playing on my phone, they're like, hey, Strata, listen, I need you to come over here, okay? I'm gonna be like looking at my phone for a couple seconds before I look up, okay? When I'm ready, when I'm sure as ready, then I will look up, okay? Maybe I'll even talk to them for a few seconds while I'm still staring at my phone. Versus if they say, hey, Strata, I'm like, huh, what? And I look over there. It just doesn't look as strong. Versus if they're talking to me, I'm looking at my phone, I take a few seconds, maybe I even start talking to them and responding to them, and in the middle of my response, then I look at them, right? Sometimes you don't even need to look at them at all, right? Let's say I'm talking to somebody. I'm maintaining direct eye contact with, let's use the camera as the analogy. I'm looking at somebody, and all of a sudden, this person over here starts calling my name. Hey, Strata, listen, I need you to come over here. And they're talking to me. I'm still looking at this person. And I'm like, I'm not looking at him yet. I'm talking to you, all right? Maybe I'll even respond to them. Like, yeah, you know, tell them I'll get back to them in a minute. Dude, that person that was just making that eye contact on me is like, whoa, that's a strong dude right there. That's what's going through their mind. Again, not sure if I articulated that the best way. I gave you my best shot. Okay, here's this number 3. Is like I'm gonna use a player analogy. All right, this works very well for women. Why? How do I know that? Because it's all that Dan Bilzerian wrote about in his 500-page book. Was this? This is literally the exact part he wrote about. It's attention. So if I'm like talking, let's say there's 2 girls. Again, I probably shouldn't be using player analogies because I know it's gonna bite me in the ass one day, and I know somebody's gonna bring it up. I don't think it's gonna age well, to be fully honest with you, but it's important just so you can understand this stuff. Okay, let's say I'm like talking to one girl. Maybe this is the girl that I'm not hitting on. the girl I'm hitting on and I want is the one right here. And I'm like, dude, she always like this? And then she starts like talking to me. Like, no, I'm not always like that. I'm like, what do I need to know about that girl that I don't know about already? You know, and she's looking, keep in mind, the girl that I want is looking straight at me. Okay? I'm not even looking at her for a second. I'm just looking at this girl, her friend. Like, she just seems like trouble. Am I wrong? It's like, I'm not trouble. She's trying to tell me she's not trouble, but I think she is. And then I can look at her strategically when I'm good and ready again. Dude, that creates insane attraction. If you could do that for like a minute, you got to calibrate and understand when you're going to lose them, but that's beside the point. The point is that is a tactic. It's one of those like be careful with it, manipulative ones. Okay? And that's why I like the one person at a time. You got to remember, you only look at one person at a time. I'm not like looking at you and then looking at her and then looking at you. And if I am, what am I doing? I'm moving my head. You know, I'm probably talking to one person for a minute, and then when I'm done talking to that person for a minute, this is not on a player analogy anymore. This is regular talking, okay? Maybe I'll like acknowledge the person real quick. I'll look at him. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, buddy? That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. And number 23, watery eyes are normal, okay? You're gonna notice when you get really into eye contact, people's eyes water up when you just look at them, all right? I remember I got really in my head about it. I thought that people were getting weird. They're like, dude, I'm making too much eye contact. I'm reflecting. I'm like, is there something I'm doing wrong? And I remember like talking to one of my close friends, and I'm making eye contact, and their eyes were watery as heck. And I was like, hey, am I making too much eye contact? I'm trying to like work on my body language. Can you kind of let me know? And they're like, no. I'm like, really? Or they ask like, why do you ask? I'm like, because your eyes are watery as heck. They're like, are you not? They're like, I'm fine. I'm like, you look stressed out as heck right now. And they said, if anything, your eyes look watery. I'm like, really? And they're like, are you stressed out? They said this to me. Like, no, not at all. I'm like completely comfortable. So it took me like, and I had to do that a couple times to realize people's eyes just naturally get watery when you're fixated on an object. We naturally like look around a lot, but when you're fixed on one thing, your eyes just get watery. Don't get insecure about it. It happens to everybody. Okay, number 24. Here's a caveat to number 10, which is about like intensity. All right, you don't want to purposely just stare people down and like make them purposely feel uncomfortable. You need to make sure that you don't do that. You need to stare people to a point, like if you had to pick one of the extremes, you want to be too intense at the beginning. You shouldn't end your eye contact journey growing, being too intense, but at the beginning, you should be. You should almost be giving off like player vibes, like just looking at them a little too much. Again, at the beginning, because you're calibrating, you're finding a line, crossing it, and be like, oh snap, there's a line, let me go back. I had a manager, I love him so much, okay? I almost, don't like calling people out like this, but he had the most piercing eye contact ever, and it made everybody in the entire organization very uncomfortable. If he ever saw this clip, he would know exactly who he is, and he'd know exactly that he does it. And he honestly, again, I love him to pieces, but he is definitely a literal psychopath. Like, not in the I'm making a rude comment about the individual type psychopath, but the person like just doesn't really have emotions. Many people think they meet narcissists or psychopaths or sociopaths. He's like a literal psychopath. Okay, he just doesn't have emotions. And so when he doesn't have emotions, I mean, he doesn't feel nervous. So when he stares at you, it's really just like he just doesn't know that he's just staring you down. And then whenever he doesn't notice, he gets on a, oh my God, okay, it's again, like I'm not throwing out names, but he's on a power trip, and it's a form of dominating people. If he can stare them down longer, it's a form of like domination. If I could stare at you down harder and longer. And you should almost never do that unless there is times to do that. I'm not going to sit here and say that you shouldn't. You're in a negotiation that's high intense, and you kind of got to look at him like, dude, you need to know I'm not around right now. Imagine like if Donald Trump was in a business negotiation, he's going to stare people down to a certain extent. Like, you need to know that I mean business. And again, your mindset during all this is you're ruthless, but you're positive. You're not reactive. I'm ruthless in the sense that I'm gonna make eye contact with you and I don't really care if you get uncomfortable, but I'll be positive. Like, it's good to see you, buddy. How are you, dude? Like, hey, what's up, man? And so I want to give you this this story about Peter dancing, where I just saw eye contact work so well for somebody. I remember I was in high school, which was quite a while ago now. It's well over a decade.
Oh, damn.
So one of my close friends, his name is Peter, and he was dancing with a girl. Peter had amazing eye contact. This girl, I watched her go through like the 10 stages or 8 stages or 12 stages. Dude, it was like she was looking left and right and like up and down. Like, she was so baffled. She didn't know what to do with the situation. And Peter's like dancing, like, I don't know if it was a slow dance or whatever. Like, I think it was one of those 2 steps or something. But I watched her naturally, Peter, look at her, just perfectly stoic like this. Maybe make a little smile, little like eye contact, something like that. Okay, like almost stared her down. And at some point I watched her physically just like something snap, and she just fell into his frame. All right. And I remember watching that and I was like, dude, what just happened? That is so insane. I didn't even know that was possible. I had to watch somebody do it in order to realize that I can do that myself. I was like, dude, can I do that? And I started testing it out. I'm like, dude, that's insane. That's me learning. It's on the other side. It's trainable. It was like, to this day, one of the coolest eye contact stories that I've ever. So I just want to bring that up. Guys, if you got value from this content, please, dear Lord, click a playlist of the communication. All right, this video is nothing without these others. I gave it my best shot. Okay, if you feel like there's anything I could do differently, leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe. Thank you so much.